What if I told you that one of the most iconic and controversial managers in football history is about to return to the very club where his professional journey truly began, and that this comeback could set up a series of dramatic clashes with the teams, the players, and even the fan bases that shaped his legacy? Well, reports from Portugal and across Europe suggest that José Mourinho, famously known as the Special One, is set to make his shock return to Benfica as head coach. After a turbulent spell at Fenerbahce that ended with disappointment in the Champions League playoffs, Mourinho is once again back in the headlines, and the timing of this return could not be more explosive. José Mourinho has always thrived on drama, intensity, and storylines that extend far beyond the pitch. He's not just a football manager. He's a global personality, a man whose words are dissected by fans and critics alike, and whose rivalries have created some of the most unforgettable moments in modern football. So when news broke that Benfica had sacked Bruno Lage following a disappointing start to their Champions League campaign, and that Mourinho was the leading candidate to take over, football fans around the world immediately sensed that a new chapter in the Mourinho saga was about to unfold. Let's rewind for a moment. Mourinho's relationship with Benfica goes back more than 2 decades. In the year 2000, a young José Mourinho was handed his very first job as a first-team manager at Benfica. At that time, he was largely known as the translator and assistant to Sir Bobby Robson and later Louis van Gaal at Barcelona, someone with tactical insight but without the track record. At Benfica, he managed just 9 matches before internal politics forced him to step down. It was a short-lived experience, but in hindsight, it was the spark that ignited one of the greatest managerial careers in football history. And now, at 62 years old, Mourinho is poised to return to the very same club where it all began, only this time as one of the most decorated coaches of his generation. But here's the hook that makes this story irresistible. If Mourinho's appointment goes through, Benfica's Champions League journey will immediately pit him against some of the clubs and managers that have defined his legacy. Imagine this: Mourinho returning to Stamford Bridge, the stadium where he became a legend with Chelsea fans, now standing in the dugout as an opponent with Benfica. Picture him facing Real Madrid, the club where he waged intense battles with Pep Guardiola's Barcelona and delivered a record-breaking La Liga title. And consider the fireworks of a clash against Juventus in Turin, where Mourinho has had multiple run-ins with fans dating back to his Inter Milan days. This isn't just a managerial move. This is theater, history, and drama all rolled into one. Now, let's look at how this situation unfolded. Benfica, despite being one of the most consistent clubs in Portuguese football, stumbled badly in their Champions League opener against Qarabag, losing 3-2 at home. For a club with their pedigree, this was not just a loss, it was an embarrassment. The board moved quickly, parting ways with Bruno Lage and immediately setting their sights on Mourinho. For Mourinho, the timing was convenient. His tenure at Fenerbahce had just ended after failing to advance past Benfica in the Champions League playoffs, a cruel twist of fate that saw him knocked out by the very club now offering him a lifeline. Reports suggest negotiations have already advanced significantly, and all signs point to him being unveiled as their new manager within days. Here's where it gets even more intriguing. Mourinho's Champions League group stage schedule with Benfica is absolutely stacked with emotional returns and old rivalries. After their upcoming fixtures, Benfica will travel to Chelsea, a place where Mourinho won back-to-back Premier League titles during his first spell, revolutionized English football with his tactical approach, and famously declared himself the Special One. For fans at Stamford Bridge, seeing him walk down that tunnel again, but this time as an opponent, is bound to be surreal. The narrative writes itself. Will Mourinho mastermind an upset against the club he once adored, or will Chelsea remind him that his glory days there are firmly in the past? But it doesn't stop there. Benfica are also scheduled to play Real Madrid, the club where Mourinho had one of his most polarizing tenures. While he brought success, including a La Liga title with a record 100 points in 2012, his time at Madrid was marred by controversies, dressing room clashes, and fiery encounters with Barcelona. Returning to face Madrid in Lisbon will be a headline maker across the world. Can Mourinho, now older and perhaps wiser, find redemption against a club where he often left fans divided? Or will Madrid once again be his undoing? And then comes another juicy storyline, a clash with Juventus in Turin. Juventus fans still remember Mourinho's infamous gesture when he cupped his ear after Manchester United defeated Juventus in the Champions League in 2018. That moment, like so many others in his career, showcased his love for confrontation and his ability to turn even the post-match celebrations into a global talking point. Facing Juventus again, but this time with Benfica, ensures that emotions will run high and the Italian crowd will be ready with jeers, whistles, and taunts. At every turn, this potential return of Mourinho to Benfica feels like destiny. It's not just about managing a Portuguese club again, it's about retracing the steps of his career, revisiting old battlegrounds, and proving once more that he can thrive on the biggest stage. Mourinho himself has always said he loves challenges, and this one might be his most symbolic yet. After all, Benfica is not just any club. They are Portugal's most successful team, with a passionate fan base that demands results and craves European success. Bringing Mourinho back isn't just a managerial change. It's a statement that Benfica are serious about competing at the very top level once again. But here's the big question. Is Mourinho still the manager who can deliver? His career over the past decade has been a roller coaster. After leaving Real Madrid, he returned to Chelsea and won another Premier League title, but his second stint ended in bitterness. At Manchester United, he delivered a Europa League trophy, but was criticized for his defensive style. At Tottenham, he failed to win silverware, and at Roma, he found redemption by lifting the inaugural UEFA Europa Conference League. Each chapter has had its highs and lows, but critics argue that the game has moved on, that managers like Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp represent the modern era, while Mourinho belongs to the past. This Benfica job will be the ultimate test of whether Mourinho still has the tactical brilliance, the motivational fire, and the charisma to succeed at the very highest level. And just imagine the atmosphere when Mourinho steps back into the Champions League proper for the first time since 2020. Fans who grew up watching his touchline antics, his passionate celebrations, and his verbal sparring matches with rival managers will once again get to see him under the bright lights of Europe's premier competition. Love him or hate him, nobody can deny that Mourinho brings a level of spectacle and narrative that few others in the football world can match. So, as we wait for Benfica to make the official announcement, one thing is certain. Jose Mourinho's return to Benfica is more than just a managerial appointment. It's a full-circle story, a chance for the special one to reconnect with his roots, and an opportunity for football fans around the world to witness one more thrilling chapter in his legendary career. The eyes of the footballing world will be glued to Portugal because when Mourinho is involved, anything can happen, and usually it does.